Bucknutters. It is Tuesday, March 6, 2018. I'm Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and Change, joined, as always, on Thursdays by the lovely and talented Duane Long. Duane, sunny and crisp in the Gem City, the same in Columbus, so we won't waste any time with that. How are you, my good friend?
Ready for football. We've had our downtime. It's time to go again.
It is time to go again, and they are going. We are taping this early in the morning, depending on where you're from. Bucknuts staff, your favorites, Steve Hellwagon, Dave Biddle, and Patrick Murphy, are right now at the WAC watching practice, kind of the first rite of passage, opening day for the media to get in there. We get an hour of open time in the morning. Not to anyone's surprise, they don't show us much of anything. It is a chance to see the new guys in their pads, but they will anything that's good, they will run 700 yards away from the media, so you can't really see it. But you do get a chance to see some guys on the hoof, and it is the official kind of start of, air quote, next season. And there's a lot of questions for the team going into this year, more than usual for a team of this ilk. In terms of the guys returning, what are you looking for most?
Well, I guess rebuilding the defense, Dan. We're replacing the entire linebacker core, both corners, and the safety. It's really a lot of guys that are going to be getting out of here, and both ends. It's really depleted as far as when you talk about veteran. We know we got talent here, but it's just who is going to step into those roles. But there's it's Swiss cheese over there as far as guys who have actually played football, who played any significant number of minutes. So it's going to be very interesting to me to look at the defense. I hear Amir Reep is now at safety. That's where I thought he would be anyway. So that's going to be an interesting battle with him and Isaiah Pryor trying to take that other spot. The linebackers, my goodness, it's just a pick. Who's going to step in there? You got Harrison. I've always been a huge fan of Justin Hilliard. Baron Browning's got to be on the football field somewhere. And then at the corners, I'm looking for Sean Wade and Jeffrey Okudah to have impact. So really, the defensive line is the only place where you're like, okay, I got a pretty good idea who's going to be in here.
What's interesting is Ohio State has updated its roster as we kind of feed this in here, and they've updated their heights and weights, et cetera. I mean, I'm just going to – and there's a picture out of the team, the standard we just lifted, and we're all standing here without our shirts on picture. Seriously, Chase Young may take over the earth before the end of his career. I mean, the idea of first off the bus, he should be first off the bus and just his shorts. The other team would quit. It's unbelievable. They say he's at 6'5", 265. If you'd have told me he was 400 pounds in the picture, I wouldn't have argued with you. I think linebacker is super interesting, though. I think they need to – the name you mentioned, Baron Browning, he has to be on the field. He just has to. I don't know where they're going to put him. Honestly, I'd actually like to see him eventually be the team's middle linebacker. There's nothing more intimidating to me than, Rolando McClain in his prime type when he's not working the scissor. And then the other name I'm looking to see something out of at linebacker is Keandre Jones. Just heard too much good stuff about him. Was surprised he didn't get in there last year. Like to see Tough Borland get in there, but I agree. Linebacker is going to be super, super interesting. Defensive line, here's one thing everyone should hear. Third-year sophomore defensive end Jonathan Cooper is up to 257 pounds and is 6'4". I have a feeling we're going to hear from Jonathan Cooper coming around the edge, and they're super stocked up front defensively. Another very interesting, thought you might find this interesting. Deshaun Cornell has dropped weight. He's down to about 277 pounds, which leads me to believe he is going to be one of the guys they're going to split out to the end more. So there's something there. When you talk safety, obviously they got Jordan Fuller at one spot. Amir Reep has bulked up. He's about 195 pounds now, but that's 12 pounds added on to his frame. Are you comfortable putting a safety back there with that little of experience. Pryor is almost the prototype safety. I think I would prefer to have Pryor back there. What's your vibe?
Well, what choice do we have? It's really how much more has Pryor played than Reap? So you can't really – it's not that many reps that separate them. So you just go with the guy who's reading the game better and making plays, whichever one it happens to be. We just don't have a veteran guy to stick back there.
No question. It's going to be interesting, too, as we move around the team here. I would caution people not to make too much of who lines up with the starters initially today. A lot of times that is a veteran nod, and the guys in there won't necessarily be the guys in there who are starting. That said, we can't talk Ohio State football without talking about the quarterback position now. The BM5 yesterday, Pat and Dave discussed whether or not they thought Urban would name a starter today. Obviously, they did not think so. Do you think Urban will come out and name a starting quarterback today?
Absolutely not, Dan. But here's the thing: what people, does he want to let the media see who the first guy is to take a snap? I think that people are going to take that and run with it. I wouldn't let the media see that. Whoever steps up is the first guy to take a snap. It's going to be made a big deal about. So, as you said, everything you really want to see, they're going to hide. That should be a thing. I think it's going to be Dwayne Haskins. He ended the season as number 2, and there's no reason to think that he shouldn't be the one to get the first snap. If he isn't the one to get the first snap, that is going to be an even bigger deal. So this is a thing that he does not want to do. He really doesn't want the media to know who's that first guy to take a snap. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to watch how it breaks down this spring. Who's going to be the one that comes out of the spring? And then what does happen? Can Meyer talk whoever is number 2 into coming back and fight for the job going into fall? I doubt that's going to happen. I think we're about to see this drama come to an end here in the next few weeks. But, maybe he can. It would be great for the team. Wouldn't necessarily be that great for the individual. I just don't think it's as bad as people think it. They're like, well, he should be straight with them so they can get on with things. Well, think about this, Dan. Whichever quarterback loses that job, wherever they transfer to, as soon as they walk in the quarterback room, they're the number 1 quarterback in that room. So they're not losing that much. It's going to be the off season. Yeah, they could be taking the time to learn the playbook and all that, get settled in, but it's really not going to be that much of a disadvantage to stay around and try to get that job this fall. So, that obviously is the biggest drama of the spring. But again, what we've been talking about here, the defense, there's a lot of stuff that needs. We got holes to plug. And, as you mentioned, the linebackers are going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and to be clear here, these are first-world problems we're discussing. Having too much talent at linebacker to get guys on the field. There are plenty of programs that would love to have an Amir Reap, Isaiah Pryor battle at safety. There's about, I don't know how many teams in Division I that would like to have the quarterback situation Ohio State has. So let's make it clear we are not saying things, the sky is falling, but it is interesting, and these are we just haven't been through a preseason or an off season for that matter where there was just so much indecision at quarterback, even when this was done before, and it was Cardale and Braxton and JT, whoever was playing quarterback or receiver notwithstanding. All those guys had some experience. This is essentially 3 guys with nothing. And when I say 3 guys, the one guarantee I will make you is there's going to be a faction of people coming out of practice consistently saying Tate Martell's the best one there. I can guarantee you that. Now, I'm not saying I agree, but that's a guarantee. Let's talk freshmen. There are several on campus. Tyreek Johnson, Tommy Togai, Matthew Jones, Max Ray, Dallas Gant, Antwon Jackson Jr., not technically a freshman, Sevin Banks, Master Teague, Mr. Baldwin, the quarterback, who is limited due to the knee injury suffered at the state title game, Texas. Of the names I just mentioned, who are you most excited to see, and who do you think Ohio State's going to be most reliant upon early?
Most excited to see, I would say, Tyreek Johnson. He's just such a dynamic athlete. We've got holes in the secondary that need filled. Why not Tyreek Johnson? He's a kid with good size coming in. There's no reason, and he's just as dynamic as the rest of these guys. So it would not surprise me if he jumps in there, puts himself in the mix, maybe gets in the two deep. Actually, the one who I think is going to have the obvious immediate impact is Antwon Jackson. This was an elite guy and the best defensive tackle class I've ever seen. He's going to come in here. He's coming off a year where he was Conference Player of the Year. I think he's going to have an immediate impact. There are holes there, obviously, with Michael Hill gone, and it looks like Cornell's going to be kicking outside. So he's a guy that can step in and play right away. He can be a nose tackle. He's got some elite athleticism. He could play three technique for us. So Antwon Jackson, I believe, is just, if he starts, it's not going to surprise me at all. In fact, with a gun to my head, I would say he's going to be the starting nose tackle on this football team. So that's the guy. Just look forward to that. I think we're going to be hearing a lot from him, a lot about him coming out of this spring.
I agree. He's also reasonably so, much further along than these other guys. He's an equally highly regarded talent who's had a chance to go through Auburn for a year, as much as it didn't work out for him. Then Blinn Junior College in Brenham, Texas, is that's where Cam Newton went. That's no joke. So you're getting a grown man coming in here. I'll say this. I'll be the first one to say it. I wouldn't be surprised if Antwon Jackson plays one season and is off to Sunday football, or whenever they play it now, every day of the week basically. But very high hopes for him. He was one of the guys I was super bummed out they missed on a few years ago, so it has come around beautifully. Speaking of coming around beautifully, several Buckeyes made themselves some money this past week, or actually into this week, at the Combine. Most of the guys kind of performed as expected. Anyone surprise you? Anyone you think made or lost a ton of cash?
The guy that jumps out at me who lost money is Baker. 4-5,
Jerome Baker.
4-6.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's where he was going to make his money, was in being such an athletic guy. People were like, I'll work him in my scheme and teach him anything that I need him to know, and just give me that super athlete. Well, he didn't do that. I mean, he had some other good numbers, but running, that's what linebackers have to be able to do. And he didn't do anything special. He didn't do anything to separate himself from anybody else. And let's be honest, Dan, his pay for last year is not going to help him much. I mean, at the end of the year, he started to play better, but for the most part, it was not a great season. He had a much better season his first year. So I think he really hurt himself. I think Sam Hubbard really did a good job. I don't know about this 40-time thing. I don't know what he was thinking there, but he put up some really good numbers. And his film is, I think, going to be a plus for him. This is not Mr. Super Dynamic Chase Young going to be coming around the corner and scaring quarterbacks every time that the ball is snapped. But he does the dirty work. He's the guy that sets the edge. You don't see Sam Hubbard making bad plays. I go back to Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh said when he looked at a film of a player, he wanted to see his 10 best plays
and it's 10 worst plays. I don't know if Sam Hubbard has 10 worst plays. He is just that solid a guy. In the NFL, I mean, we talk about the superstars, but look how many guys are making a really lot of money just being good football players, down in and down out. And I think that's where Sam Hubbard, and I think he can be a playmaker. You know, he's a guy that can get you 6, 8, maybe 10 sacks a year, in addition to being a guy that's going to do the things that you need your defensive end to do every down. And now they're even talking about him playing linebacker. So I think Sam Hubbard really helped himself this weekend.
Yeah, no question. We'll finish up, sort of give my thoughts on Hubbard, and we can finish up here. Yeah, I think he had the highest, lowest for this matter, score in the 3-cone drill, which shows your agility, stop and start among the defensive linemen. That's why there's been discussion now that he did so well that his numbers actually would have even been good for a stand-up outside linebacker. I could not agree with you more on Hubbard. Is he going to be the dynamic franchise player at defensive end that Joey Bosa is? No. But of that group we talk about, kind of like the upper middle class of the roster, I do think he's going to be more dynamic than most of those types of dudes. I think he's a very, very worthy investment. If I were at the top of the second round, even late first, if I had a need at a right defensive end for just someone to plug in there for the next decade, that would be Sam Hubbard. Not bad for a Notre Dame lacrosse player. Make sure you have it locked in here, Bucknutters. Like I said, right now we have 3 guys at the WAC covering everything going on. Coverage will begin to flow if it's not already flowing as you're listening to this. We thank Duane for stopping by. Have a good one, Bucknutters.